बड़े बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate. Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Time now for the nation's sharpest opinion. And the big story tonight is that of the burning ship, ladies and gentlemen. The biggest mystery tonight is this. The burning ship. The burning ship that's been burning off the Kerala coast for over 24 hours now, and nobody knows what is in that ship. What we know is that what was on that ship is very, very dangerous. It's very, very hazardous. And we know that something's not adding up in this story about the burning ship called the Wan Hai 503. Yes, that is the name of the burning ship which was operating on the China-India Express service connecting key ports in East Asia, China, Hong Kong, Southeast Asia, Singapore, Malaysia, South Asia, Sri Lanka, India. And then this ship, ladies and gentlemen, was on the way to the port near Mumbai. And when it was on the way, suddenly off the coast of Kerala, the ship catches fire and there are some huge and major explosions which are reported. These were the visuals of the burning ship. And then people started reporting the ship and saying that there is a ship which is burning, and it's called the Wan Hai 503. And then reports started coming out that the cargo of this ship, which was on its way to Navashera port near Mumbai, was actually carrying very dangerous substances, class 3 dangerous goods, class 3, 4.1, 4.2, 6.1 goods that are toxic in nature, goods that are prone to spontaneous combustion, goods that include flammable solids, flammable liquids. And there were so many explosives of this burning ship that it continues to burn, and you can't approach the ship. It's burning everywhere except in the front deck area, and the ship has not sunk yet. And there are, the Coast Guard has said, ships out there. There are other passenger ships moving around in the area. Everybody's taking pictures. But the question is, how did a ship with such dangerous material start moving towards Mumbai? And why are there such underdeck explosions on the container ship? Viewers, underdeck explosions, which means explosions in the underdeck area of a container ship, are not caused by T-shirts or toys. They are caused by chemical cargo, gas cylinders under pressure, or unstable materials like lithium batteries, things that don't belong to the bowels of a ship without strict safety protocols. So the speculation is that there was an attempt to hide something. There was an attempt to conceal something. How is it, ladies and gentlemen, that the crew, so many crew members immediately abandoned the ship? Crew members do not abandon ships easily, especially trained merchant mariners. They are trained to take care of situations like this. If 18 out of 22 crew members jumped into lifeboats, then it means they were aware of something inside that ship. And these are the pictures of those crew members being taken out, which means the crew members were aware that the fire and explosions in the cargo ship, which is now burning off the coast of Kerala, are fatal given the nature of the consignment. Now, how many things were there in the consignment? How are there 49 containers which have suddenly and mysteriously gone missing? As per the government's version, the ship had 1,803 containers on board. The shipping company's estimate says there are 1,754 containers on board. That's a difference of 49 containers. More than 40 containers reportedly jumped out and fell into the sea following multiple explosions and a fire on board. So crew members jump out, containers go missing, Very dangerous equipment and material is in the consignment. And let me tell you, this includes resin solution, styrene monomer, 1-methoxy-2-propanol, diacetone, alcohol, methyl, methacrylate, isopropanol, and many things which are all classified as grade 3 flammable liquids. There are class 4 flammable solids, which includes nitrocellulose with alcohol, paraformaldehyde, and 20 containers of toxic and poisonous substances, 800 drums of bipyridium pesticide, and other toxic substances, all meant for Nhava Shera port. The question is, who was going to receive all these consignments? 15 to 20 containers are still missing. Why are these incidents happening off the western coast of the country? As a country, we have to be very, very careful. I'm told by sources in the government we can expect some statement for the government very, very soon. When will that statement come? We have a right to know. Ladies and gentlemen, some crew members are still missing. And given the challenges that we have to India's port, and given the internal security challenges that we have, we cannot be in the dark about the burning ship. We as citizens of this country have a right to know what on earth is going on. This is a serious matter. It is a matter that Republic is investigating. There were 22 crew members, including 8 Chinese, 6 Taiwanese, 5 Myanmaris, and 3 Indonesian officials. The Indian Navy and the Coast Guard are working very hard on this, and the Chinese embassy has thanked Indian Navy and Mumbai Coast Guard for their prompt and professional service. But there is more than meets the eye in this burning ship mystery. Here's a quick report, and then we'll go into detail on what has likely happened.
Off the coast of Bepur in Kerala, the fire rages on. A Singapore-flagged ship en route Nhava Sheva port in Maharashtra from Colombo is on fire for more than 36 hours. The fire broke out around 9:20 on Monday morning. By afternoon, it spread to other containers. Surprisingly, the crew abandoned the ship. Acting swiftly, Indian Coast Guard mobilized 4 ships, and by night 2 Dornier aircraft were also dispatched for the firefighting and rescue operation. With the fire not showing signs of subsiding, Indian Navy joined in the efforts with INS Surat, reassigned from its mission in high seas to join the Coast Guard. 9 hours ago, around 10:16 this morning, Indian Coast Guard shared that fire and explosion persisted on the ship. While the forward bay area was under control, from midship to the container bay, it still remained out of control. Aerial video shared by the Indian Coast Guard around 11:20 in the morning showed massive plumes of smoke emanating from the burning ship while Indian Coast Guard's ships engage in firefighting operations. In the first response exclusively to Republic TV, Indian Coast Guard confirmed that the fire wasn't doused as yet.
The vessel is still on fire. The fire has considerably reduced than what it was yesterday night, and the vessel continues to be afloat as of now.
There were 157 hazardous containers on board.
I must admit, every operation is unique. So is this operation in its own way, because here we are dealing with multiple chemicals, 157 dangerous cargo containers. So yes, this is unique, but this is not something new that we are doing it for the first time. We have done it previously also, Express Pearl also. We have extinguished many fires. But yes, in a way, these containers are unique because the mix of cargoes that we are talking about is 157.
Flammable liquids, solids, toxic substances, and substances liable to spontaneous combustion were on the cargo.
As of now, we know that that is a chemical, and that chemical is widely known as a material used for some explosive manufacturing or whatever. And there could be other uses also, which we are not familiar with.
The shipping company based in Taiwan is dodging Republic's questions.
This is the headquarters over here in the national capital of Wan Hai. On the fifth and sixth floor, there we went inside the very headquarters, and I basically requested some of the senior officials to come out and speak to us regarding the very incident, but they were very reluctant to speak on camera. What we have got to know from the sources in the Wan Hai, that nitrous cellulose materials were also there, and other combustible items were also there.
What caused the fire? What is the main cause behind continuous blasts? Were there any banned items on board MV Wan Hai 503?
Gentlemen, I'm joined by the Deputy IG of the Coast Guard District, new commander of the Coast Guard District, and he's joining us from Kochi, Ashish Mehrotra. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Arnab.
Sir, what is the nature of this fire? You know, it's not stopping. It's just going on. And it's gone on for 36 hours. That's a long time.
Arnab, these are chemical fires and they take time to extinguish. Generally, till the time the fuel is available and the chemical reaction is ongoing, these fires generally have a tendency to go on and on. And they do react with the surroundings to, at times go up in intensity, and there will be times when we feel that they're doused and they can be reignited. So it takes time to deal with chemical fires.
So we're not being able to go into the ship to douse the fire. It's too dangerous. So you're approaching it from the sides. What kind of ships and equipment are you using to douse this fire?
Yeah, Arnab, given the condition of the ship, which it is presently in, it is highly unsafe for anyone to even think of going inside the ship. That is one thing. As of now, our main focus is on dousing the fire and maintaining the structural integrity of the ship, for which we are trying to do boundary cooling and do precision firefighting by applying foam onto the fire affected areas. This is basically to keep the ship cool and avoid it from being melted away.
Now that's, what about the crew? How did you get to know about this mystery burning ship? And what's the exact location? When was it reported? How did you get to know about it? When was it first reported? Where is the crew? Where's the captain of the ship?
Well, we got this report yesterday morning at around 9:15, and then we came to know that the ship is having multiple explosions, and a nearby ship reported that they can sight a ship near to them which is on fire. At that time, this vessel was somewhere abeam to vapor, and immediately we had our Dornier aircraft in the area. We sent her, and she could see that the vessel was spewing fire. There was a lot of explosions going on, and the communication with the master on board with the Coast Guard Dornier indicated that the master and the crew wants to abandon the ship. They were total 22 crew, of which 18 abandoned, were recovered. 4 of the crew, we presume that they were doing firefighting, and the master says during the course of firefighting, they have been missing after an explosion.
18 jumped off the ship.
Presumably not jumped off, because had they jumped off, they had a better way of getting down in the life raft and getting recovered alive. So saying that they jumped off may be wrong. They are presently missing after the explosion.
How much off the Indian coast is this ship?
Arnab, I didn't get you on
How
this.
much off our coastline is this ship? What's the distance it's at, sir?
It is presently around 62 nautical miles abeam of Bepur, so quite far from the Indian coast, around 170 kilometers away.
Is this Indian waters, technically?
It is in our exclusive economic zone, yes. But then it is following the sea lines of communication, the international sea lanes which are there.
When the ship captain and the 18 crew members decided to abandon the ship, which means they know that the material on the ship is extremely dangerous once an incident like this happens.
Yes, Arnab, that's the point. Exactly what you're saying is correct. The master was probably aware of the dangers involved if the crew stayed on board. So they decided to abandon the ship in a life raft and the lifeboat.
So it's in Indian economic waters. Do we get to know who the final consignee is, who this material was meant for?
We are still trying to ascertain those details with conformity because, in a ship, there are multiple shippers, there are multiple consignees. It was carrying probably more than 1,000 containers. So there will be so many people who will be sending their cargo from one place to another, who all exactly each DG cargo belonged to, from where it originated, and to whom it was designated, is being investigated, and DG Shipping should be able to let us know very fast.
So you say this was reported around 9:15 yesterday morning by nearby ships who reported a burning ship, which means the first information did not come from the ship itself, which has the communication means to send out an SOS signal, but it came to your notice from nearby ships who reported this to you.
Arnab, there was concurrent information which flowed from DG Com Center, which was originated from the ship as well as from the nearby ships also. So the concurrent information was received between 9:15 to 9:20 from multiple sources to us.
Something doesn't seem to meet the eye, sir. It's not just about the intensity of the fire or the continuous explosions or the persistence, but the undertake explosions which are told to be very, very unusual, very, very unusual. The crew abandonment, the lack of manifest transparency, which means the question about full cargo disclosure. It's not benign cargo, sir. It's not benign cargo. And the statement from the company seems to wash its hands off the responsibility of the cargo. They are putting the entire responsibility on the customers, almost as if they don't know what's on the cargo.
Ultimately, the responsibility of the cleanup operation and the whole environmental damage lies with the company. The end principle is polluter pays.
Absolutely. This seems more than pollution, sir, for me. Just stay on the line because Shawan has some more. Shawan, what more information are we getting? Shawan? On the burning ship off the coast of Kerala. Shawan.
Well, in fact, two important details with regards to the number of vessels that were present. In fact, we reached out to the company here in the national capital. There is a complete disparity in the numbers. There is a confirmation from the Indian Coast Guard with regards to over 1,700 containers. But the bigger point here, 15 to 20 such containers may have been displaced. And just to join the dots, you have...
What do you mean displaced? I mean, they just can't fly away.
So, well, there isn't clarity as to what really happened because at least between 15 to 20 containers are now missing. And in fact, I do have a confirmation from my sources here in the national capital saying that these 20 containers are missing. 157 containers did have some hazardous materials. We have also put out the list of the hazardous materials. But a short while back, Commander Mehrotra was saying that maybe that this would require further investigation to find out the kind of materials that they were carrying.
Well, I mean, I think we have to be very careful. I think the Coast Guard's done such a fantastic job, Shawan. But I'm surprised you're saying containers go missing, crew go missing, crew jump off the ship, fire persists. It's just unbelievable out here. I'd like General Bakshi to come in. General Bakshi, there are strategic issues which come up, don't they? I'd like also to welcome here Mr. Vijay Chafekar, former Additional Director General of the Indian Coast Guard. Good evening, sir. Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, ex-Indian Navy, Trustee Board of the Indian Foundation. Dr. Tara Karta, former Director of the National Security Council Secretariat. Thank you very much. General Bakshi, your thoughts on this? The media is not focusing on it, but
Arnab, on the face of it, this... No, you are absolutely right. On the face of it, this is a very worrying incident. And I do not think we can take things just at the face value. So much of hazardous material, hazmat, on one ship, nitrocellulose. From my knowledge, military knowledge, nitrocellulose is one of the key components of explosives.
TNT, yeah.
You know, and who were the consignees? If it is coming to Nhava Sheva port, imagine this happening in the port, Arnab. One of the greatest, terror on the high seas, the nightmare scenario is that a ship with such hazmat material comes inside the port and somebody lets it off. You can imagine the kind of, it's a time bomb, you know, which is being driven into your port. And the other, you know, very dangerous thing is that if they try and use a ship to ram, if it is carrying such hazardous, cargo, such hazardous material, nitrocellulose, my God, then bunker oil. You can't ask for a better cocktail to set a whole harbor on fire.
Would it be normal? Would it be normal? Mr. Chafekar, for this kind of a crew to go straight near Mumbai with this kind of hazardous material, these thousands and thousands of tons of very hazardous material, dangerous material to go to the Nhava Sheva post? And why is there also not clarity as to who was supposed to receive all this material?
Well, Arnab, the successive incidents of container ship off Kerala coast within the span of 8-10 years does cause a worry. But we have had several such incidents in the past. The ships out at sea having accidents of fire on board ships. Well, the nature of cargo, its destination, there are matter of investigation. I will not be able to comment on that about the cargo and who were the recipients of that or who dispatched it. The question was Coast Guard as responsible for consequence management, irrespective of cause, wherever incidents happens out at sea. So we look at how we responded to it. And in this case, the moment ship raised the alarm about possible situation where they have to abandon.
I totally get that. The Coast Guard has done a great job, no question on that. But Admiral Sinha, the question is, there is a lack of manifest transparency, which means neither the operator nor the Singaporean authorities or the authorities from Colombo have published the full cargo manifest, which is very unusual at a time of a major maritime incident. You know, you have to quickly clarify that the ship is carrying no dangerous goods. Now, there is a silence on that. Then obviously the crew members know what's on, which is why they panic and they jump off, right? And it's very toxic, the material that is on the ship. And a lot of it can be used to put together some very dangerous explosive material, missing cargo, missing containers. Your thoughts,
thank you,
Admiral,
for getting me on your show.
Sir.
The ships are permitted to carry certain amount of explosive cargo, but that has to be done with a lot of safety precaution. And normally when we do that as well in the Navy, we have different barges for that. Whenever in a big ship, these kind of explosives are carried out, the ships are kept away from the harbor at anchorage. The ships anchor off the coast, and the barges, which are called the ammunition barge, which are specially designed to carry these, explosives, they are supposed to be transferred and then taken to some place where the explosives are actually manufactured. So the list that you are saying, they are really very highly explosive, little bit of chemistry knowledge. But the investigation will have to find out as to was there something which was more than what was manifested? Was there something which was more than what the customer wanted on the one end? And if that be so, then the court must take it very seriously. As far as the crew jumping off the boat is
Lost you there, sir? We lost Admiral Sinha. We'll try to get him back. Viewers, in January 2024, I'm putting this in perspective, Dr. Tara Karta, a Karachi-bound ship from China was stopped by Indian authorities on the Nhava Sheva port area on suspicion that they contained a dual-use consignment. And Dr. Karta, you will remember the suspicion was that the cargo could be used for Pakistan's nuclear and ballistic missile program. And the customs officials had, based on intelligence inputs, halted that Malta-flagged merchant ship CGM Attila on January 23rd and inspected the consignment that included a computer numerical control CNC machine manufactured in Italy. And this could be used by Pakistan for its nuclear program. In the security environment in which we are, your thoughts on what has happened off the Kerala coast?
I remember that case of the nuclear materials being caught. See, in that case, there is a fair amount of intel sharing on when, dual-use goods are being shipped. There is that is a different sort of, part of operations, if you can put it that way, because we need to know what is going where in the nuclear dual-use category. This is, Arnab, what the point you made is very right. Any transport of dangerous cargo is more expensive for a company. So therefore, most likely they will not declare it.
Why?
Because it's more expensive. He will show it in the manifest as something else. So it's much cheaper for him to say. So these are, normally, I would assume, I stand to be corrected, that a manifest would be with the port which is receiving that cargo. That manifest should be there, that this is what the ship is carrying. Now, most often, this is what shipping companies do. Not shipping companies, private companies. They will not declare the cargo as, what exactly it is, because they have to pay that much more. That is one. The most important thing is here, if these containers which you very well brought out, these are missing, and if they've gone down to the ocean bed, your environmental impact will span decades. What is going to happen to the fishermen who are operating off Kerala? This is not just a question of a fire burning. If these things have gone down, then there is a problem. Number 3 is, while the Coast Guard is a fantastic organization, it's often overlooked for the Navy. When you look at the Navy, you often forget about the stellar job which the Coast Guard is doing. I think it needs a lot more resources. Given the number of accidents which we've been seeing recently, and the rise in shipping, the sheer volume of cargo which is going across ships. Just look at the live map, the number of ships which are there at any time. So if Coast Guard is the first responder in a disaster management, they need a lot more resources than they're getting now. And I think this is the bottom line.
I think you put it very well. I lost the line with Admiral Shekhar Sinha there. I've got him back there now. I am not putting out a conspiracy theory, Admiral. I'm just saying the major operation of this vessel is China-Hong Kong, China-Hong Kong, China-Hong Kong. Coming via the Colombo route, but ending in Nhava Sheva. So I think we ought to be really careful at what's happened. Suppose this ship had not burnt, and this huge consignment of God knows what's in this ship had reached Nhava Sheva. Then what would have been the implications if 40 of these containers had been smuggled out into our country? Right now we're told 40 containers have gone missing. Suppose 40 containers, Admiral Sinha, would have been smuggled out for some unknown use of this kind of material. From a security standpoint, what do you think the implications would be, sir? I don't think Admiral Sinha took my question. Can I take that to General Bakshi? General Bakshi, a lot of you were interested in this, picking up as we're sharing details of the story. Imagine, sir, 1,803 containers of dangerous, hazardous, inflammable, potentially explosive building material, right? Shipping companies' estimate says there are only 1,754. The difference is 49 containers of this kind of material smuggled into India, suppose, or unaccounted for. What would be the implications?
No, Arnab, sometimes back there was a huge worry about ammonium nitrate.
Correct.
Which is shipped into India.
Yeah.
And is used as fertilizer.
Right, sir.
And there was great worry that that is also the material that goes to make IEDs, improvised explosive devices, which are being used in a very massive way by the Maoists, by the Naxals, by other terrorist organizations. And there was a great amount of concern, but then, there were these lobbies, agricultural lobbies, which stepped in to see, no, you can't stop this, we can't raise the price of, basic fertilizer. But that basic fertilizer also serves as the base material for IEDs. And then a lot of steps had to be taken to see that this is regulated, that their entry is controlled, and accountability. Where exactly is being offloaded? Who is taking it? Where is it being, siphoned off? Extremely dangerous for internal security. So here you have nitrocellulose. That is far worse than ammonium nitrate. Nitrocellulose is the key, military grade explosives can be made from nitrocellulose, man. And
who would be bringing this into India? Would there be an industrial use of that? Would there be? This is industrial grade import. You agree with me? Either there is some big company which is importing this stuff, which we don't know about. But we have to track the end use.
Get to the bottom of who the consignees were in India.
Yeah.
You can't let this just pass as a one-off incident. We have to get to the bottom of who had ordered these, who were the consignees, who were the recipients, and why did the crew jump off? In a normal fire, crews are trained to handle that fire, to send their distress signals, to receive. They were in a very big hurry, tearing hurry, it seems, from prima facie.
That's what they're saying.
We'll have to wait till some more inputs come in.
Ashish Mehrotra.
But this particular crew was in too much of a hurry to jump to abandon ship.
Is that right, Mr. Mehrotra? Are you there?
You are aware, as you are very rightly conjecturing.
Yeah. Okay, no. The question is, the crew were in a terrible hurry to jump off the ship, no doubt about it.
Explosive cargo inside the hold?
Yeah, because the crew knows exactly what's in the ship. The crew knows there is nitrocellulose, there is all this toxic material, there is all this corrosive material. They know what's on the ship. There's no doubt about it, General Bakshi. They know what the ship is carrying. Otherwise, and they know therefore how quickly it can spread and how dangerous it can get. 4 missing crew, by the way. 4 missing crew, Admiral Sinha as well, for which no clear account has been given even by the captain on where the missing crew are. That deepens the mystery. The crew is missing. Some of them are being brought in. Should they not be questioned? Should we not get to the bottom of this? Does the company not owe an answer? Admiral Sinha?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, does the company not owe an answer? The crew, let's look at the crew.
You're absolutely right. You're
Sir.
absolutely right. And as I mentioned in the beginning, that there will be a full investigation as to what was the company who dispatched, where was it coming from, who is the consignee, what is his business that he needs all this. It is quite possible that some of them are making explosive for our own forces as well. So some of it might be for that use, but the names that you have taken are actually very highly explosive items. So I think that full investigation is required, there's no question. And now that you have brought it out in the open on your very respected channel, I think there will be proper inquiry, and normally it does. The second part is crew jumping off. Arnab, whenever we have gone to pick up these guys from a burning ship, in the merchant ship, they are the first ones to jump off. And they picked up. Fighting fire, etc. Yes, they are trained. But I think Coast Guard and Navy, they do this on a very regular basis. Firefighting exercises, they're trained, they're examined. I don't think the merchant Navy guys are so well trained that they can handle fire like this. So I would say that, it must have frightened them. Every crew may not be knowing what the explosive was. It is quite possible it was limited to the captain of the ship or maybe the chief officer. that also needs to be found out. Third part is I am more worried that if these containers are missing and they are still floating just below the water level, there are 20 small ports in Kerala itself. We are only talking about 2-3 ports. Sorry, there are 20 ports in which, shallow bottom ships can go. And what happens if it lodges itself outside into the entry channel of these ports? You will have a complete blockade, and there will be no movement, and there will be problem about all the shipping that is taking place. So I think that is more serious than what meets the eye. I would say, in case the containers are floating and visible, and they are likely to reach any mouth of any other harbour, they should be shot and they should be consigned to bottom. Otherwise, if you leave it floating, it will cause more problem. There will be more fires. So best thing is to just destroy it, and it goes down to the Davy Jones locker.
The problem is we are being a little short-sighted about this. You see, I'm looking at this as a case in point. We get so distracted with political issues in this country, we don't look at these major events which are happening. Now, point here is, Mr. Chafekar, there are multiple explosions which are reported, followed by a rapid outbreak of fire, which suggests the ship is carrying very, very highly hazardous and inflammable chemicals, gases, or materials which are prone to what is called thermal runaway situations, which is where there are fires which are carrying on for a series, and obviously the Coast Guard also realizes right now this is a very dangerous situation, and we're reporting underdeck. I want to know what is the significance of that. Underdeck fire, underdeck explosions. I'm a layman, but I've been told that underdeck area is reserved for heavy, dense or sensitive cargo. This is not a surface fire, which means there was something under deck in the ship which is causing the fire and which is extremely inflammable or dangerous. What does that tell you, sir, about this burning ship mystery?
Well, Arnab, there is a dangerous cargo among the containers, and it is declared there are 157 containers carry the dangerous cargo. And the fire has spread out beyond at a stage where probably it will take a little longer for the fire to be extinguished. We have dealt with this kind of situation earlier. We had this empty Blue Diamond case of Sri Lankan coast carrying about 2.5 lakh tons of crude oil, and that took about 7 days. Even the last year's MV Frankfurt case took about more than 7 days to fight fire. So I do agree that we need to go deep into the circumstances under which such kind of fire broke out. But what I gather from the Coast Guard commanders who is controlling the deployment of Coast Guard vessels and who responded actually to the first call by the vessel, that possibly the ship's crew captain, they judged the situation that it is beyond their means to handle that fire and they must abandon the ship. As such, as per the reports, it looks like the 4 crew members, they've gone missing. They were at probably grave risk due to the explosions which happened initially. But what I feel is when you asked the question earlier about the holding somebody accountable for this loss, and also another person did mention about the damage to the environment which it will be caused. This instance has happened well within Indian waters in terms of EEZ, and the high courts in India have jurisdiction under administrative law to try these cases. There is a mandatory insurance requirement and there is no fault liability. So we don't have to worry if we file cases, that part about the damage which it cause to our marine environment, that is definitely.
But this, I'm just sorry, Leva, who wants so much explosive material? It can only be, Dr. Tara Karta, again, layman question on this, and General Bakshi, only some huge explosives company will want this. I mean, this is not going to be used to paint someone's home. This is obviously the level, this is industrial grade explosive import. Mega industrial grade explosive import.
Actually, I am a little surprised that we don't already know who it is.
Precisely, we don't know.
Because like I said, again, a layman's understanding, if there's a manifest, there's an end user, there's somebody who's ordered it, all that is on a file. So we should be knowing, we should be already in possession of that fact. But the point I want to make, Arnab, here is that why isn't there a professional salvage company already operating there? I mean, here we are looking at it from a national disaster management point of view.
Yeah, there's a bit of a shroud in this case, no doubt.
It is a huge disaster. Let's not underline. I think I'm very glad you brought this out. I would expect that there would be some heavy salvage operations going on. The Coast Guard can only do so much. Where is the rest of it? So I would hope that this is going to start at least in the next couple of hours before this thing, because it's already listing, if you notice, it's already listing heavily to one side. And if this goes into the water, then you are in grief. This is going to be a massive environmental hazard for years. So, there are multiple ways of doing this carbon bombing, etc. Which professional salvage companies can do. So, I think they should be brought in as to who is the consignee, who it is. I would also ask whether these materials were stored properly, because there is supposed to be, ways of storing dangerous cargo in terms of what you put in the hold, what you put in front, whether certain explosives are, they're combustible. Those questions also need to be asked. Hopefully, it will not go the bureaucratic way, where it goes into decades of thinking about it and talking about it. Someone should be held accountable. This is extremely serious.
I'm sure the government knows, General Bakshi. I'm sure the government knows who was going to be the recipient of all this material.
Because this is highly unusual, because like even Admiral Sinha said, Shekhar Sinha said, was it meant for some of our armament companies? I'm not sure at all, because and had it been for them, it would have been known by now. She's very right. Tara Kartha is absolutely right. By now, it should have been known who the hell is the recipient. Who in India is ordering nitrocellulose, if not one of our public sector companies which are involved in the manufacture of explosives? Nitrocellulose is no ordinary, material to be carrying around. Even ammonium nitrate, as I mentioned to you, is worrisome, even though that is also serves as a fertilizer for agriculture. But the bulk of the IEDs that the Maoists have used are produced from ammonium nitrate. Whole barrels of it they have put to, even...
Sir, there's also styrene monomer, which is IMDG class 3. There is styrene monomer, which is IMDG class 3, which is highly inflammable, which polymerizes violently. It is found on the ship. It is a very hazardous air pollutant. If it left to polymerize, can cause a huge chain reaction for huge damage. So this is, I don't know. This is serious stuff.
No, common military knowledge tells you that nitrocellulose is not to be taken lightly. Nitrocellulose, I'm sorry, that is the content of our shells.
Yes.
Artillery shells also have this nitrocellulose and the others, and I think, and the fact that till now, it is 2 days. It is 2 days and we don't know to whom this was going. Amazing.
The point. The people of the country have a right to know. The people of a country have a right to know what is going on. Who was going to receive all this material? Was it for industrial use? Was it to make explosives in India? And the origin of it. I mean, I also find it a little alarming and probably difficult to believe that something like this would have originated from China, which is not really our, global best friend number one today. That all this would be coming from China to India, unless it was picked up somewhere else, in Singapore, in Colombo, or somewhere else, General Bakshi.
No, Arnab, we will have to ask for facts and wait for facts to be put in the open domain. There could be so many reasons. We are opening a competitor port to Colombo, which the Chinese are heavily invested. So would they have an interest in seeing that if a number of such incidents happen, maybe that doesn't add to the popularity of our new port? You see, I mean, there are various angles. At this stage, we can only speculate.
What do we know, Shaman,
Because
of
what
where
some
this
angle
originated?
would be
Where did
if-
this ship originate?
What would be the chances of this?
It's also, we have just got from our source, starting from the 23rd of May, the first port call was in Hong Kong, and thereafter in Shikoh in China, that was on the 27th of May, following which in Singapore between 25th and 26th, in Port Klang in Malaysia, thereafter on June 2nd and June 3rd, finally from Colombo, that was on 7th. That was the last port call that was made. So the journey started sometime late May, starting all the way from Hong Kong. And importantly, this particular vessel essentially operates in this particular route itself, which originates from China. So it's not that this
No,
vessel
but
has
the
come
origin is Kachisiung, which is in South Taiwan.
Right.
So originates in South Taiwan, but if it was carrying this material, it's made a port call in China.
Well, in fact, that was the first port call that we have a confirmation about. It was in Hong Kong, thereafter in China itself, Singapore, and finally in Sri Lanka before entering.
So when you
the
make a
Indian
port
economic
call,
zone.
Shawan, when you make a port call, then Admiral Sinha, the Chinese would
There are
have
certain
known.
declarations that have to be made in
So
each of
if a
these
ship
port
is
calls.
going, when a ship is going from Taiwan, it goes, first port call is in China, Hong Kong, that's Chinese territory. So the Chinese had every right to jump on the ship and find out. They would know what was on the ship, unless it was picked up later. What is the possibility it would have been picked up later? It would have got...
You're right. You're quite right, Arnab. You know, these are the suspicions which will happen to all of us. So every port of call, they will have to investigate that was something loaded or not loaded.
Yeah.
I want to make just 2 points. Recently, Government of India has permitted private companies to make explosives for the armed forces and for the paramilitary. So I do not know the whole list. So we'll have to see whether some of these are required for them. It's very easy from the port trust in Nova Shiva to find out as to who the consignee was and what was the load. Because all that has to be declared, Arnab, and they have to tell, you know, there's an IMO format, the International Maritime Organization format, which is with every ship. And they're actually supposed to transmit it on every time they transmit on AIS. So I think there is a reason for you to suspect that could have happened. It has happened in the past that in the port of call, the captains have accepted something not knowing what was inside, and the consignee there knew what was it, and the guy who was sending only he knew it. So this is a possibility which I agree with you. And unless a full investigation is done, what General Bakshi was mentioning, that we are at the moment we are making a lot of assumptions.
But
all those assumptions are
this is a very important for anyone following India's national security to be concerned about. Because I'm not putting a conspiracy theory here, but on May 25th, the Liberian flag container ship MSC Elsa 3, General Bakshi, also sank off Kochi's coast. That was 38 nautical miles off the coast of Kochi. The vessel was in urgent assistance. There was also then caution, possibility of hazmat material hitting the shore. It was carrying calcium carbide, which can react with water, a grave chemical leak concern, flagged by experts. May 25th. May 22nd, Pahalgam. 1 minute. April 22nd, Pahalgam. This Operation Sindoor, between 6th and 10th. May 25th, Elsa 3 sinks off Kochi coast. Now, a few days later, Singapore flag container vessel catches fire off the Kerala coast. 4 crew missing, 18 rescued. Again, hazmat material. Is there something that connects the dots on these things? Why is the western shipping route of India, both ships carrying hazmat material, getting into such situations? You see, if you just connect the dots, viewers, General Bakshi, there is a statistical improbability that we need to look at here. How likely is it that 2 incidents like this, one after the other, would happen?
No, it's not. We should start, getting very inquisitive about this is not the first incident, this is the second incident. And let me tell you one more thing, Arnab. The southern flank has been worrying security analysts for a long time. We have known almost for the last decade Pakistan's ISI has been making serious attempts via the Maldives,
Correct.
via Sri Lanka to penetrate into, Kerala. Kerala is a highly suspect area. They've been trying to, on the main highways, arteries, trying to buy pieces of land where they can set up their so-called dhabas, etc., monitor your traffic, and assist in the conduct of terrorist operations and spreading asymmetric warfare towards the Kerala side. They have sections of the population which are favorable to that hostile agency, and anything towards the south of India, that is your next flank to worry about.
Well, I think we need to seriously see. All this reminds me, General Bakshi, of what you said.
Seriously, look south.
No, we need to really ramp up our national security, our intelligence, our counterintelligence, our available information, our national security infrastructure. I think we need to do a lot. We cannot take anything for granted there. This report on the burning ship mystery is only on Republic, ladies and gentlemen, on republicworld.com. On national security issues, we put our efforts forward, and we are totally sure that the government will give some kind of a clarification, hopefully by tomorrow. I'll end with visuals of the burning ship. This is the story of the day. Full frame, please. And this is the Wan Hai 503. India's biggest mystery, this huge consignment of explosive material, ladies and gentlemen, which has caught fire. We don't know what the story or the real story behind that is. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night and goodbye.
Time for a quick breather. Arnab will be right back with the debate.
सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा